Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Hello, beautiful hearts. We have another episode in our Energy Healing Summit series here on Quantum Conversations. Today, we are with the astounding Christel Hughes. She's a beautiful soul, a powerful light worker, and a source beacon of light to so many other light workers, shining the path for all of us at this time on our planet. Christel is a multidimensional visionary, a medium, a multisensory, energetic, intuitive, and she is known as a spiritual trainer to the stars. She works with Metatron and Metatron's cube. And so today we're talking about the path to omniscience, how to activate your clairconsonant, your clear knowing, your mastery, and become that all-knowing sage to have cosmic clarity. Hi, Christel. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. What a pleasure. I love our deep conversations. I absolutely adore the time that we have together. And honestly, thank you for allowing me to come and share the wisdom, the knowledge, the things that want to flow out of me, to share the things that I've gone through. It's usually based around some aha that I've had, and also just really tapping into the heart of all the listeners, our community. What is needed at this time? How can we bring the answers, that light of truth through us? And so that's what we're going to be discussing today, is really being that light of truth, beaming that, discerning that, and understanding what it means to become that embodiment. What is it that we're being called to right now, to do, to be, and to really recognize that degree of our capabilities so that we can continuously beam that light to support, because we know of all the things that are going on in our world, and we want to be that consistent beaming light of joy and truth and love.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's so much out there in the collective that can distract us. So this is really important because we know everyone watching and listening to this really truly understands their power of the light. And
Yes.
yet we each can find ourselves falling off kilter every so often. So what do you do? How do you navigate things when you come across information, or when you know that you're not of the highest light? What do you do?
Yes. Well, I think that goes hand in hand with what we're discussing today. You know, we are all on a journey, and what we've discovered recently is this truly is a dimensional journey that we're on. And if we slip back, if you will, into this shadow state of victimization, then we're not allowing ourselves to be the light within those realms. And we always have to be first and foremost dedicated and devoted to channeling that light of truth. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it? So we don't judge any lower dimensional realms. In fact, we start to strengthen those realms because they're not something outside of us. This is all happening within us. And so just as we feel that infinite number of dimensional energy, wisdom, light, truth, and consciousness that goes in one direction up, it also goes in another direction down. And so it can be a little bit confusing if we feel our mind, our subconscious mind, start to go into divisiveness. If it starts to tread into this realm of judgment, then we've gotten off center. We've stepped outside. And again, in speaking about this, without judging, if we really are to understand how we evolve and how we are the beacons, those radiant lighthouses, to bring the light of truth in where the shadows are, we start to uncover something. And what we're uncovering is what we bring with us from lifetime to lifetime. We bring these samskaras, we bring the vasanas in with us. This can be things from our ancestral history. This can be personal things that we've brought in. And it's all about bringing the shadows within our own self to light while maintaining the centeredness. So that's what I find. Can we get back to center? No matter if we're triggered and we get angry, we get frustrated, we hear a story of divisiveness. We have to maintain a sense of centeredness. And that level of dedication to the truth is what's going to gain us the leverage to make a difference, right? So we can stop having conversations that are based in separation consciousness.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm just going to take a quick moment here and implore everyone watching, like you said, Christel, we can feel it in our body. When our subconscious mind starts to go there, we can feel it in our body. And that is our great indicator. And that is a challenge. And so as it's the shadow within us, simply, I'm getting a ringing in my ear right now. It's the shadow within us. Simply go within and love it free. I know that just
Oh,
sounds so trite at times with heavy stuff going down, but that is really the work at hand. And so if we're able to do that, keeping our eye on the prize of unity, and I love this, if we know that we can go into divisiveness, taking sides one way or the other on anything, that's a tall order, and the judgmental on it. So if we're going to take a fifth dimensional energy on things, the fifth dimensional energy would almost be Jesus-like, where Jesus was not scared to touch someone who was ill, right? And so
it
this
is
is
so
like our
different. Yes.
stance. So that should be our stance, right? And so, I mean, I can feel the power in that. And it really means there's a requirement of an immaculate awareness of our vibration and frequency, right?
We are so determined in our efforts. And this is what the knowing is all about. It's an all knowing. So, what we have to look at is if we're focusing in on the all knowing, and that lies in the higher realms. That actually lies in the eighth dimension, is where I start to see that. So again, if we're reaching for that all-knowing and we want to actually understand, why do we have the shadows? Why do we get off center? Why do we still create things that are painful? Not just maybe to us if we're sitting in our nice, air conditioned or heating house, but to those that have no voice. We are the all-knowing ones. We have been gifted that level of discernment. And so we have to then be in that ocean of consciousness that will serve those that have no voice, where they're still functioning from the subconscious primal. So when we are discussing this idea of being omniscient, that's a big word, the all-knowing. That's a huge word. But as we start to go back to this idea of the dimensions, what we start to see is that we're always channeling truth through our being, because truth is light. And we're always channeling light through our being. There's no way that we cannot do that. So why then are we not always in the all-knowing illuminated state? We are functioning in a dimensional reality where we're in that 1 to 3 dimensions, right? Literally. Sometimes our consciousness dips down and we go back to a full state of unconscious awareness, right? Sometimes we don't even know why we said something or why we reacted that way or why we did it. And in that 3D reality, as we start to move beyond space, time, start to move up to that 5th dimension, our consciousness opens. We become extrasensory. We even go into multisensory, where we're feeling, knowing, sensing on all these levels. But in that shadow side of that 5th dimension, we go into more of the unconscious hatred side, the judgmental side. If we do our work, internal work, we start to clean that up. I mentioned earlier the vasanas, which are these deep embedded belief structures that we have in our subconscious mind. And those are the things that are known to us. They're actually very familiar and they make us feel safe. Strangely enough, even if it's not the healthiest, that means that we know something and we resonate with it, even if it's unhealthy for us, like an unhealthy relationship. Now, if we're moving out of the vasanas and we're clearing up, healing our personas, healing our aspects that are in the shadows and enjoy being in the shadows. And that, again, sounds strange. Why would we enjoy being in that? Are we gossiping? Are we in those conversations that are actually not healthy? Do we take up a certain stance and think that we're right, even spiritual righteousness? And then if we look at the samskaras, what we've brought through in our aura, in our field, that come from the behavioral patterns from our past lives and even ancestral coming in, we start to see that we have to look at things on multiple levels within our being, because again, we're rising out of that now. We have learned enough. We have understood our own consciousness to the degree that when we go from that 5th dimension to that 6th dimension, again, as a stage of development, at that 6th dimension, it's all about magnetism. It's about the levels of tapping into the undercurrents of creation. It's about manifestation. It's about masculine and feminine energies bonding, merging into oneness, not thinking that these are two separate parts of us, but really understanding this divine dance within us and honoring what each one brings as an offering, coming into wholeness. What we started to notice is that at this level of this 5th and 6th dimension, rising up to touch the 7th dimension of the holographic reality. In other words, we're not even human as much as we're a hologram. And we're reflecting that subconscious into movement, into our visions. We're reflecting and projecting at the same time what we actually still have as far as the shadows and the light within us. And that's where we start to see that the vasanas and the samskaras are really starting to show themselves in a different way. When we look at them holographically, and what I mean by when we look at them is when one peers in, that is clairvoyant, that is multidimensional, we start to observe a person's energy field holographically. They are a hologram. We can see everything all at once, past, present, future, the possibility lines, the parallel lives that they're living, galactic lifetimes that they've had, the star systems that have influenced them. And at this point, what I was seeing was a kind of a fail-safe that was placed by the divine. And this is what we're calling the soul's netting. And the soul's netting, when you look in holographically, and again, we start to see this at the seventh dimension in a person's energy field. It's impacting the aura, it's impacting the light body, it's impacting their build out as the hologram of what we were talking about, of unity, that unified being. And so what we're seeing is that this soul's netting was placed there by the divine because the amount and the degree of that light of truth, when it hits up against some density of the planet, literally of somebody maybe still in that victimization consciousness, right? Still in that feeling of prejudice, hatred, that those are the things that we don't want to look at, that we kind of pretend, no, that's not me, I'm beyond that. It's okay to take a look at those. We don't have to go in with judgment towards that. Instead, we want to bring the love to those aspects. Now, going back again to that soul's netting, if we look at that and we say, well, why would that be a natural occurrence in us? Why would the divine put that in our energy field? Well, if that light of truth comes down so quickly and one hasn't brought their consciousness to a certain degree, a level of inclusivity, where we're really not working towards love and oneness, then you can see that it would actually blow out the circuits, if you will, of a person. Too much light coming down, hitting the density, actually blows out the person's chakras. So we start to look at this as we're in the context of understanding that this is all knowing. We want to actually activate our intuition. But those samskaras and the vasanas at this fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, we still are in the shadow of comparison. We're not there yet, right? There's something missing still. See, these are all still shadows. Now, we do have to have the language of this because we're learning still, right? But we have to also watch out for that. Even as I talk about the dimensions as levels of development, there's no judgment if we dip down into a primal trigger. But we also have to remember the context is being in the oneness. And what is going to allow us to bring love to the shadow? How can we observe this soul's netting that the divine placed to keep us safe, to keep us protected, so we don't have so much energy coming in at once as we're doing our progression into higher states of consciousness? And remember, it's not always up, it's up and down. We go deeper, we go higher. We build a stronger foundation, we get to build higher. We get to attain those higher states without having this idea of lower means lesser, right? Higher means better, right? So I want to bring that to the attention in this context as we look at this of really desiring to initiate ourselves, become intuitive, open up our clear knowing. We have to understand what is occurring in our energy field. And that's why I'm here, is to really talk about and bring out the soul's netting that I've found, and how at that level from the seventh dimension, being a holographic being means multidimensional intuition. And we're tapping into that eighth and ninth dimension right now. But again, we've been working so long on that fifth dimension. We need to now start to understand, what does it mean to play in those higher dimensions as an intuitive being. And we have to look at that soul's netting and see what's the condition of that. Is it ready to shift now? Have we gotten ourselves to that place? Because we're not trying to get rid of something. We're trying to take it from one state into another state of being. So the divine putting that there didn't put that there to be a burden upon us to cap off our intuition, but it definitely has impacted our intuition. So that's something that I wanted to bring today so that we could really go deeper into that conversation.
It's very interesting. Okay, so from the seventh dimension, we're able to see from that holographic level the soul's netting.
Yes.
So as you work with clients, and in a moment we're going to do some readings on some folks, and that's really fascinating. How do you see that soul's netting? How can we see our soul netting? Then the next question is, how do we clear it or
Yes.
improve it?
Yes. And
Mhm.
so again, it's the human condition that we have these vasanas and samskaras, right? It really is. We are here to bring light, to bring love to the shadow parts of us. We don't want to reject any part of us because that would actually reflect as rejection in the world. Everything that we know about ourselves is going to be revealed to us in our environment. It's very simple. And if we have doubts about ourselves, if we are struggling to know ourselves, to come to know ourselves and trust ourselves as an intuitive being, as a being of light with unique gifts. In other words, the way that we flow light through our being is going to allow us to see, feel, know, to understand, to recognize, to hear, to engage with the environment. This soul's netting as a fascinating structure when I started observing it. And literally, when I started taking people to that 7-dimensional holodeck and seeing us as holograms, this is when it showed up. I didn't see it before that. The soul's netting is just what it sounds like. It's going to appear in that aura, but moving through the light body and starting to impact the holographic body, which just means the degree to which one can surrender to being the hologram, right? If we're attached to any one part of us, labels of who we are in the world, right? Who our friends know us to be, what we have, that is going to keep that soul's netting there and very strong. But what I can tell you is, as I see the netting in people now, it's starting to disintegrate.
Yeah.
It's really some people, and this is what I'll do the reading on, because that's directly linked again to the degree in which we actually can become the all-knowing, to trust ourselves, trust the light of truth that comes through us, to discern whether that is truth or whether it's another persona trying to take a stand on something that proves our worries, our doubts, our fears right. So we are looking at multiple layers now. We're seeing this soul's netting as an energetic kind of bioplasmic texture. When we look at that, there are certain places that you'll find that the netting is dissolved. Now, when I say dissolved, I just mean that it's the form is trying to change. Remember, we're not trying to get rid of it. We are bringing in Archangel Raziel. Archangel Raziel, oh my goodness, absolute blessing. This is this divine being that absolutely is the one that holds the secrets of the universe, the keeper of the secrets, the keeper of these mysteries that inspire our souls to understand ourselves because we are creation. Archangel Raziel started coming to me and revealing himself and saying, it's time. It's time for us to understand the secrets of the universe, but there has to be a greater surrendering. We do have to offer up the attachments that we have to the vasanas, to the samskaras, the things that we think that make us even a good human. In actuality, if we want to dissolve into the oneness, we have to be okay with the death of the old identities. And so if we're attached to these misidentities, I am this, I am a mother, I am a father, I am a sister, I am a brother, all these labels, even I am this kind of intuitive, I'm that kind of an intuitive, I'm this kind of a healer, I'm that kind of a healer. Those are all limitations as well. Instead, we can utilize the ancient secrets of our own soul that is eternal, that has always known. And so what I found is that when we do start to get into that fifth to seventh dimension, and we start to come into the holographic reality, we start to observe things as holograms. We observe them as the true nature. We start to see the fifth dimension of sacred geometry starts to play into that seventh dimension. And so we start to understand and ask the questions about what's behind creation. Why sacred geometry? What's actually happening? What is the energy that we need to tap into to feel ourselves as the creator? And when we start to do that, we unlock these radiant rings of light. And this is how I started seeing them. As I started working with a person's soul netting, I started observing that they were transmuting to these radiant rings of light. Now, this is touching me. It's touching my heart. Because when we talk about being a light being, this is really what we're meaning. We're literally turning on these light rings, and Archangel Raziel coming in supports us with that. Now, there's something else that I started calling in. And this is something known through many, 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 many lifetimes, if you will. This is something that has been known that is an ancient being, and it's called the Sudarshan chakra. The Sudarshan chakra is in ancient myths, but it shows up in all different religions. This Sudarshan chakra is actually made up of star metal, if you will, this cosmic plasma. Now, this as an ancient being was called upon to clear the ignorance, to clear the divisiveness, the pain, the suffering. And it is known to be called forth through chanting and through offerings. So when we started working with Archangel Raziel, and I started seeing this divine disc coming in, at first I thought, oh, that's just Metatron's cube spinning as a disc. But it wasn't. And so I had to start asking, what's going on? Transmutation happens because we honor the birthing process, the preservation process, as well as the transformation process, death, rebirth. The Sudarshan chakra has always been wanted, and it's been wanted because it actually has the capacity as a vibrational being, as a vibrational frequency. It is a disc that has 108 tiny little spiky, yeah, they're little spikes. And when we see this and we utilize this in the way that it's meant to, we cut through the netting, if you will. We take out the ignorance the shadows bring. We start to utilize this to now transform the netting into these radiant rings, and they're stackables, right? So they just start to stack up. So it makes a difference where we call forth the Sudarshan chakra. Where are we bringing that in? How are we bringing that in to illuminate us? And as we start to do this process, what we've started to see is that the hologram turns into the oracle being. It literally becomes reflective. So again, as I spoke before, we become holograms. We are reflecting as much as we are able to actually be the embodiment of that light of truth.
That is so beautiful, and we can feel into that, and it is extraordinary, wonderful. So then that is our path, our journey then on this. And
Yes.
so, is there anything you want to say more about this? Because I can sense seeing this in action, seeing how you intuit certain people and how that soul's netting is for them and what they need to do. We can do that in a moment, but I just want to give you more time to say how this helps us with everything in our life.
Yes. So when we start to think about this, as we come into our own worthiness of it, the vasanas, the samskaras, the netting from other people will dissolve. You see, it's kind of fascinating here that we've got this soul's netting around us that's a protective experience that the divine placed, so that we're not blasting out our chakras with that light of truth, because we're very eager, aren't we? We want to open our intuition. We want to have these gifts show up. And we also want to believe that what we're hearing is what we're hearing. We question ourselves. We doubt ourselves. And that's very normal when we look at the vasanas that we come in with and the samskaras that we come in with. Again, as we start to bring more of that light, what's going to happen is it's going to shine the light onto the dynamics in our lives. How do we interact with people? How do we hold ourselves? Do we speak up and speak the truth? Do we withhold? Do we keep our heart open despite someone hurting us? Do we still slam the doors closed of our heart when we feel or perceive someone could hurt us? Are we living in the emotional realm of anticipation of what's going to happen? If we don't know what's going to happen, how do we respond? How do we react? And so not only do we have that soul's netting that's trying to dissolve, but within that, as we start to bring the light and we use that Sudarshan chakra, we start to see that the netting from other humans start to show up to be dissolved. And so we can also look at the dynamics of behavior between one person and another, because another human can project onto you a netting, if you will. Now, when we start to look at that, if it's not this kind of universal, the divine put that soul's netting, this is a different type, right? This is a controlling type of mechanism. This is what we would notice. and we would sense when we're living with someone and we do something and they call us out on it and they don't have patience with us, they don't have compassion with us, right? This is where we start to see every time we go over to, our sister's house, she brings up and acts the same way towards us in an unhealthy manner. And these dynamics, control mechanisms that are maybe manipulative, these nets that we see could even be projections where we have an unhealthy competitive feeling when we get around somebody. I mean, it shows up as jealousy. It can show up as envy. We can be triggered and we can even question ourselves like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why am I talking this way? Why do I feel this way? Those are the types of nets that we can also clear. We really start to look at this is coming up now, not to just be noticed. It's coming up because it's time to transmute that. So we have to look at the projections that other people are putting on us and the projections and the netting, if you will, that we're putting on others, because it is both ways. We're not clear yet, right? But we're striving for that. And so again, what we found is when we start to bring in these rings of light and our holographic body becomes reflective, now instead of having to act a certain way, we just become a reflective being. And that starts to wake people up to their own true nature. Instead of them taking on a stance against us, we reflect in a gentle way. We reflect in a loving way. And the person catches the reflection because our vibration holds space for them and ourselves to have that transformation, to awaken.
Okay, so this just a question for clarity on the soul's netting. So it was from the divine to assist our soul from shocking out our chakras, blowing out our chakras. But then the projections that that other people can, the netting that other people can put on us, that's different that's more of human shadow manufactured netting,
Yes.
belief systems. So is it the same thing, or is it humans that were taking that netting and distorting it back out?
That's what we're seeing. It looks and it shows up as well as a form of a netting, but it's a different type of netting for a different purpose. So that's where I want to be really clear. We have this soul's netting that is going to turn into these luminous rings, radiant rings of light that really support us becoming the reflector, support us becoming omniscient, to become the all-knowing. But we also have to look at the control mechanisms, the projection patterns from the vasanas and from the samskaras that we have. As we have brought these two different types of netting to the light, we can now focus in. The more we clear the humanistic netting, if you will, the faster we can shift and transmute the soul's netting. And that's why it's happening right now.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Wow. All right. Let's get to some readings, because
Yes, let's
we
do it.
would love to see how you see it. And it's different for everyone. All right, let's go. Here we have Mary.
Okay.
Mary would love a reading.
Okay, let me tune in. So I'm placing you on the holodeck, and as I tune into your netting, Mary, so instantly I'm seeing it right in the front and it's heated, right? It feels red. It feels like it's wounded. Now, as we look at that, we're looking at this netting and we're starting to track to see, why is it red? What's happening? And why is it in front of the face? Because remember, this is about protection as well. You're sensing that something's going on, someone's projecting onto you. And so we start to see that that netting is there as heat. So I'm sensing this person, whoever's projecting onto you, is really starting to bring the heat up. Now, when we look at heat in the body, this is being fired up, right? What is the firing up nature of you? Are you frustrated? Is there a little bit of anger? Now, underneath that, I'm seeing disappointment. Now, this is around the face and around the heart, okay? So let's just track this and see when this was created initially. So this netting pattern of someone firing you up, triggering you, this is about 51 past lives ago. And what I'm starting to see is just as I'm bringing light to this, it's starting to soothe. You've never been recognized. So part of that triggering and the firing and the frustration was because you were not recognized by this person in this lifetime. Same thing from that past life, right? So it's time for you to recognize yourself. You don't need to be recognized from other people. Let's start to shift that persona and that dynamic within you. Start to recognize your own true self. Start to bring that out, right? So as we shift the soul's netting, that's going to be radiant rings of light and you feeling comfortable in the recognition of your own truth and letting people recognize your light, not some kind of human aspect of you. Okay.
Oh, so that sounds like you were talking to each of us. I know I'm not the only one that feels that you were also.
Mm.
How does that work? Is that I know that when we come together in a group, there are so many similarities in that way. Do you find that that's the case too? That like what you said for Mary, if we resonate with that, if something rings a bell, then likely.
Obviously, we're one, but
Yeah.
what I love to think about this is the universe pretty much has brought our collective higher selves together at this time.
Okay.
Everyone who watches this is already here. Their higher self is already here. It doesn't matter. I watch it one day, you watch it another day. Our higher selves have done the work to support us with the synchronicities, right? And when we start to see that we're living and functioning at that level, that's dimension 6, right? That's where all the synchronicities come in to play. We're magnetic beings. We're attracting Mary into this field right now to bring this to light for everybody else in the field. We're not separate. So there is no one else here, really. We all are one.
Great. All right. I love it. Thank you for that. And thank you, Mary, too. All right, Leslie, please tune in to Leslie.
Okay, Leslie, let's check to see. Okay, so when I tune in for you, I'm seeing a netting up here. This is a humanistic netting, right? Up on your crown, just to the right. Now, this is sticky. This is like sticky residue. So what we're finding here is this behavioral dynamic is that people will stick to you and you will be someone that draws people to you that maybe you can't set those healthy boundaries with, right? You're not able to set those boundaries. Now, if someone is attracted to you, there's something within you, right? That's also drawing that person. When you're wanting to set that healthy boundary and say, look, I've given, right? I've given what I meant to give. You need to now take and take from your own self, take from your own reservoir. I'm finding that there's a behavioral dynamic that's hard for you to do that because there's an aspect in you that is the overgiver, right? There is the one that wants to continue to help, continue to help. But at some point, the universe is going to have you help to a certain degree, and then the universe will bring another energy in to help. If you have this persona, which we're observing now, that is drawing people that are sticky, right? their residue, their need, their desire, right? Whatever we might label that as. They stick around too long, they're takers, whatever that dynamic is, that's what we want to shift. So that's one of the first nettings that I'm seeing. The second netting that I'm seeing is the netting of your soul's netting, right? Your soul's netting, it's like disintegrating from the bottom up. And it's right around this level of the throat, which is telling me that as this is clearing, remember it's transmuting, but we're going to say clearing, is clearing from one condition, turning into another. It's around the throat. That means it's time for you to speak out, for you to share, for you to shine in the radiance of your clairaudience, in the radiance of your knowing, right? What is your truth? Okay.
Okay, good, Leslie. Go for it, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, another message that resonates with all of us. The soul's netting. It's really fascinating. All right, we have Carl. Hi,
Okay.
Carl.
All right. So, Carl, let's take a look here for you. Now, instantly, they're showing me the soul's netting for you, and it's right at this power center, and it's kind of coming down and coming in. So, usually, I'm seeing the soul's netting almost like an, your aura, the shape of your aura, but this is coming and cutting in, right? So, what we're finding is it's almost like there's parts of you that you've had to cut off because you thought that people only wanted to see this certain side of you. And we don't want to just show one side of us. We don't want to hide any parts of us. We don't want to get so into the kind of conventional dynamic of who we think we have to be for our family, for those we work with, right? We have to really, as spiritual beings that are on this path of revealing the depth of our truth, we can't stifle any parts of us. So your power center is being stifled right now. So for you, we're going to shift that. Now, again, if we look at this, I want to see if there's any humanistic netting that goes with this, because having parents that might project something onto you, right? Parents that have expectations project something onto you. You need to show up this way. You need to be this way. Now, we understand that we need to learn how to be in good character. We have certain values, but we have to watch out for restrictions. I'm finding some kind of parental netting and restrictions upon you. Now, that's tracing back to 102 past lives ago, but it is showing up in this lifetime. So that's something we need to focus on clearing as well.
Okay, great. And we're going to be talking about the program to clear this for everyone. And I just find it so fascinating that we are not even aware of these things because of the ancestral or past lives or the ancestral lives. It's so amazing that we just carry so much that we're not aware of. Incredible work that you do, Christel.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Next, Glenn would like you to.
Hmm. Okay, Glenn. So tuning in, I'm seeing it around the face, like the jaw, almost like you've got this netting coming in like fingers, pulling your jaw down, and a structure of netting here. These are multiple layers of netting that I'm seeing here. So this is some kind of mechanism that we would look at. Now, again, this is tied to what's happening in your life or what has happened in your life. This is something that who didn't want you to speak, who was trying to control you. And it doesn't have to be someone controlling that we would think is, wow, he's so controlling. There's different ways of people controlling you, right? So it can even be someone that's soft. When someone is too soft,
Mm.
They draw you to them, right? They draw you in. And then you would have to try to come and help them, right? Or serve them, or rescue them, or save them. So there's many different types of controllers. And I'm seeing this with someone who's a passive controller that was in your life in this lifetime. Now, this kind of netting, let's see when that was first created. Oh, this is on a parallel lifetime, and we're looking at the third parallel. Okay, so the third parallel. So, in other words, this is part of the soul that's living in a parallel life, and the same dynamic is happening. So, we want to transmute that. We want to clear that dynamic, which means we're going to look at your own personas that hold the vasanas within you, the part of you that would want to be the rescue or want to be the savior. Okay, now let's see if we're seeing your soul's netting. Okay, that's coming down. That's looking kind of like a yellow green type of color. Your netting, though, has these little knots where you wouldn't think the knots would be of the net, right? So you've got extra knots in this net, which means you're trying to hold on. A part of you, not you, but a part of you is trying to hold on to that soul's netting. So there is still a part of you that is afraid of the amount of light that would come through you and come out of you. Okay, so we'd want to work on that for you.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glenn, we hope that you are feeling that. Thank you. Next, we have Margaret.
Okay, let's look at Margaret. Okay, Margaret. So tuning in and just checking. Wow, I'm seeing in the back side, like around, wrapping around the hips, almost like a fanny pack, clicking in like a netting like that. And I'm seeing it kind of layers of netting that is scalloped. So this is in the back. This is around the back hips, lower back and hips, wrapping around and kind of clicking in. And this netting is a drain. It's a drain on you. Some kind of netting from someone who it's not necessarily even conscious that I'm feeling, but someone consistently drains you. Now, when we look at that, it's in the back. And that lower back is really around your sacral chakra. It's around your root chakra, maybe even, right? So it's impacting those two chakras. So when we look at how it's draining you in some kind of relationship. It's draining your creativity. It's draining your passion. It could be draining your money. That's the chakra there. So that's a drain. Let me just see when this was created. So it is before birth. This is a genealogical issue that you would link up or hook up with someone that would drain you. And let's see how many generations on your mom's side. Okay. 9 generations ago on your mom's side. Okay. Let's see about your soul's netting here. Your soul's netting is kind of a very thin netting. Right now, it's kind of a turquoise blue. And as I'm seeing that netting thinning, that just tells me that it's time. Like that netting feels like, choose me. Like I want to become the radiant rings of light, right? So when we are bringing the energy from that Sudarshan chakra to your soul's netting, I don't think it's going to take much to transmute that. It really is ready. I feel the passion. I feel that passion in you. You're really ready for that.
Exciting. Okay. Excellent, Margaret. We hope you enjoyed that. All right. And Nick. Nick, please.
Okay, Nick, let's check to see Nick. All right, so Nick, taking a look at any netting around you, I'm actually not seeing much netting except right on top. It looks like a little cap. And when I see that netting on your cap, it's like someone's pulling strings, right? Like you've been in some kind of either relationships where people have tried to puppet you, or your family has tried to puppet you. It's all about pulling the strings. Someone's pulling the strings, trying to puppet you. Okay, let's see when that was created. Well, that's after birth. So that's in this lifetime. It's around 9 months old. Okay, so 9 months old, you already had someone trying to puppet you. Okay, I think it's your father. Now, let's see your soul's netting right now. Your soul's netting is kind of glowing. It's almost diamond light. Okay. And I don't see the netting at the bottom. Again, I'm seeing it more up here, right around the ear chakras, trying to dissolve. But again, it's turning into a diamond light energy. Now, let's just see if there's anything else there. There's still a little fear of the unknown for you. Okay, so your fear of the unknown is keeping you from really claiming that omniscience. Okay, so yeah, that's what we would be clearing for you.
Beautiful. Okay. So now we see that this is something that affects everyone, all
Yeah.
of us in different ways. But now there's the cleanup work to be done. So this is where we are really excited and we're empowered in this way. Share with us, you have a program. This is so beautiful, and it's an exclusive program, the Omniscient Sage Ascending. Tell us about this, because this is where we begin the cleanup.
Yes, so the package that I brought forward really is a gift that came through because of looking into all of what we're going through. This is a beautiful time where there's waves of energy that are coming in that I'm seeing. Why are we starting to have such a rush of energy now? We're talking about not just this fifth dimension, sixth, seventh. We're going up. We're really wanting to come into being and all-knowing being. Now, this path to omniscience, this is about activating your clear knowing. Okay, now most people call this the claircognizant. I just call it clairgnostic. Okay, so you might hear me say clairgnostic, that's the clear knowing, okay, but most people, and that's why I put it here, if you take a look at our page today, this is what we're talking about, the clear knowing. But we also want to activate the vibrational frequency of this master sage within us, right? Our being, when we really start to unlock, transform that dynamic soul's netting into these radiant rings of light, what happens is we're calling in a vibrational soul frequency that is the sage archetype. Okay, so we want to play around with this, becoming the all-knowing sage. And we are doing this because we want to draw that light of truth in and through us to the depths of our being, that we can be living truth, right? That we can be living truth. Okay, so I just wanted to say that because I want you to know what we're doing. Why are we doing this? What is happening? Well, in looking at our timing now, we're starting to see Archangel Raziel coming in. As Archangel Raziel comes in and has shown us about the soul's netting, we don't want to be overwhelmed anymore, do we? Have we all noticed that with technology, with what's going on in the world, our souls are overwhelmed. Our human selves are overwhelmed. And we start to see that higher self put the soul's netting because it was protecting us from being overwhelmed from the light. Now, at this time, as we continue to seek out the truth of ourselves, we're hitting a nexus point in our elevation. In most people would say ascension, but I call it elevation because we're elevating, right, to these higher dimensions. But in this time period, we're starting to see that we are bringing down a bridge of light. That's why we started communicating and connecting with the language of light. We're starting to communicate and connect with these beautiful star brethren, right? The galactic nature is coming online, if you will. And now it's time to transform, take the soul's netting that helped us not be overwhelmed by the light, turn it into these radiant rings of light that really allow us to be these master intuitives, these sages, these sage beings walking this planet. Now remember, this isn't about the ego. It's not about, oh, I'm an all-knowing sage. It's about becoming reflective. We're a sage that knows what to say or just simply knows what to shine as a vibration, as a frequency tone, as light language, whatever it might be, it's more reflective. It's almost as if we use less words, and yet we're a sage. So we are owning our omniscience. We're owning it, okay? Now, again, as we look, we have to do certain things. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go into where we can begin, okay? Now, bear with me here because I don't want to leave anything out, but I want to bring your attention to the first level, if you will, the first level that we're going to clear. This is that we're going to do a workshop together, okay? Now, you see me smiling because I love these workshops that we do. They're deep dives, and what we're doing is we're using our brains here, right? We're going in order of what needs to happen because the order makes a difference. If we can go first and address the issues that we're having with the shadows and start to transmute those and transform those, it only makes sense that the soul's netting is going to partially dissolve or transform. And by the time we get to that point where we're doing a private session together, we can more easily bring that into that radiance, okay? So crowning omniscient clarity is the workshop. This workshop dissolves the bioplasmic netting. It starts to bring the illumination of the truth through the body, starting to stimulate the chakras and the layers of your being in the way that they need to, accessing the sage wisdom of omniscience, okay? Now, as we start to go in, we literally are going to use Archangel Metatron's cube. We're going to call in Archangel Raziel, but most importantly, that Sudarshan chakra that we talked about, we're bringing that in. Okay, now I'm not going to go through everything. I want you to take a look at it. I want you to feel what this means because there's something that happens here. If we really allow ourselves to become the sage, we start to clear and transmute, we're going to get the crown of all knowing. This beautiful crown. It is a way of being. It's a vibrational frequency. I want you to think of this as our halo being activated, okay? Which brings me to the second thing that we're going to do, okay? Now, this is a little more in-depth and personal, okay? So what we're doing, it's very important. We do that workshop in a group setting, right? We're going to be online. We're going to go deep. We're going to do those clearings. We're going to bring the light. We're going to bring the crown. But we really need to also hold you in a place where we're focusing in on any blockages with your clear knowing channels, right? So that clairgnostic ability is not something that is just this intuitive gift, right? When we are looking deep into a person and understanding what are the blockages, what stops that person? Again, we're looking at a circuit of light, how it moves through your body being, how it flows through you. with your systems. We're talking meridians, we're talking the central channel, we're talking the chakras, we're speaking about your aura, the layers of your aura, and we're speaking about your vertical and horizontal channels, right? We're looking at how your masculine and feminine are working together, how they share truth, their own truths with one another. So we're going to do the Inner Sage Awakening, 3 days of remote healing. This is distant healing, but this is specifically about focusing in on your clairgnostic ability, okay? Your knowing, intuitive capacity, increasing your level of discernment, being able to work in the subtleties. The knowing is about the subtleties. It's paying very close attention. When our vasanas come up, when the samskaras come up, it stops the circuit. It's like flipping the switch off. And what happens is you're not paying attention then. You're paying more attention to your fears, your doubts, your worries, your anticipatory anxiety of what's going to happen, what's going to come. What I need to do is to work with you in the holodeck, on the holodeck, the 7th dimension. I need to work and really start to go in and start to heal up places within your body. We're unlocking the profound depths of your innate wisdom. This isn't something that's just a fluffy little thing that we're doing. It's lovely, it's deep, okay? It's honoring you, but we have to clear the conditions that you have. So day 1, unveiling the barriers to that divine knowing, behavioral issues, blockages that you have. Look at that. Overthinking, intellectualization, self-doubt, fear of inaccuracy, conditioned beliefs, societal programming, fear of judgment, or being ostracized. Now, as we do this, each day that we're working, we're going to do the primary clearing, right? We've got the Sudarshan chakra that's going to go in, projections, all these conditionings, but we're also looking at the perception, okay? And what you might have thought, logic is better than intuition, right? We're neutralizing that, okay? Old fears around being judged, clearing that. But the beauty that we arrive at after day 1 is about gaining the crystal halo of omniscience. Okay, let me take a drink here. Each day that we work, you're going to have a new halo come out. Okay, so bringing that energy up, really starting to understand the universal flow. Now, I'm going to let you take a look at that, but this one magnifies. You're not tainted by external doubts. It magnifies your clear knowing, okay? Allowing you to feel that your perception is being elevated. Day 2, we're going to work on breaking through the mental labyrinth that you go through, the mental interference, the clutter, overanalysis, over-reliance on external validation. Yes, all of those things, mistrust of your spiritual guidance. And we're going to activate the crown chakra, the celestial halo of ascendance. Really letting you come into a place where you're in direct connection with the divine wisdom. And you can bring that through your being. Okay? Now, the 3rd day is about your emotionality, behavior and emotion, the feeling of disconnection. We're releasing that fear of not trusting yourself, not trusting your inner wisdom. Okay, the emotional wounding of lifetimes, ignoring, dismissing your intuition. Any blockages that hinder that flow around the mind-heart disconnection. And we're really starting to now focus in on mind, heart, and the aura, integrating as one, flowing as one, knowing as one, right? So clearing that mistrust that you have within yourself and reconnecting and uniting on that front. And you're going to receive the infinite halo of illumination, right? Beautiful beacon of wisdom, light, grace, profound reflection abilities and capacities, okay? And then also you're going to receive a beautiful mantle. So you'll have that placed upon you by the divine, this mantle of divine insight wrapped around you, this woven cloak of celestial threads and light. And you're going to gain this key of soul sovereignty, really unlocking your eternal nature, knowing that. And that symbolizes the absolute sovereignty of your being, coming into being and owning that sage. Now, this is all something that you can do no matter where you're at. I don't want you to feel like you have to be anywhere at a particular time. So that 3-day remote healing, you can be anywhere, but I am going to be creating a personal orb for you, meeting your higher self on the holodeck. And I'm going to be doing some deep work with Metatron's cube and the Sudarshan chakra, okay? So Archangel Raziel will be there. Archangel Metatron will be there. Well, we can call in all the archangels. Now, what I'd love for you to do is really consider that the workshop and being crowned with that clarity of omniscience, and then also coming in to working more deeply with this and ascending as the sage. Do you want to also have someone like me going in and really making micro attunements, supporting you one-on-one, personalized healing? Because if that's you and you love that, then that's what we're going to do. I'm also offering a private session that you're going to have, right? And with that private session, we're doing the Omniscient Sage Ascending private session. In that, we're doing some other things because I have to work also with specific types of energy flowing through you. The guardian is going to be brought in. Okay, this guardian is going to be brought in with Archangel Raziel, and we're going to start to look at the mastery memories that you have in your timeline, drawing them in, starting to activate them, because this isn't your first time. You have to know that the sage qualities that you have and what you've known in your clear knowing, you have had in past lifetimes. You've achieved that. The vasanas, the samskaras have come into this lifetime. You have to work those out. That's what we're going to be doing here. But I want you to know that it's time for you to receive that crown, and you're going to receive this diadem on your crown of omniscience. It's beautiful. We're activating in the celestial chamber. Archangel Raziel is going to be there. So we'll create this really intimate but ultimate initiation. It's going to be the actual crowning of your sage. I'm going to be telling you what your crown looks like, what that diadem looks like, because it's a sacred symbol for you. It's not an ordinary type of crown. This is etheric, like a circuitry that you're going to have that connects you to absolute consciousness, like eternal ethereal streams of energy coming from the higher realms as knowledge coming down. So it's like this rebirth, if you will, into your divine sovereignty. Now, you're going to have certain sigils that are going to come in as well. So there'll be symbols that are coming in. And as you bring those in, these sigils really start to activate that glorious energy of the radiant rings of light. So your holographic body comes online and never goes offline. Never goes offline. Okay, it just truly is the truth of who you are. And you're going to carry that eternally for you. So I want you to take a look at that. See if this is something that you want. This is going to be something with me it's going to be on the phone and we'll do this healing together. Okay. So that beautiful, brilliant initiation that you can now know. You'll have the exact information. I'll help you every step of the way to really claim that sage sovereignty. Yes? Allow yourself to be that luminous being. So we will have gone through the workshop, we'll have gone through that inner sage awakening to the ascending. You're really coming into your power. This is the time, and it is the time for you to become the embodiment of your sacred truth, to be in the reflective nature, so that it's not about the words that you say, the pressure you've put on yourself to be this beautiful intuitive. Allow yourself to just trust the divine. Whatever flows out of you in the truth of that knowing, it is radiant, it is reflective. And those that receive the vibrational frequencies that come through your being are blessed. They're blessed with the knowledge and the wisdom and the grace that you bestow upon them. So I invite you to this beautiful program. I invite you to the path. This is a path to omniscience. We're not messing around here. This is literally being omniscient, coming into the all-knowing sage and the brilliant being that you truly are, and that we all know that you are.
No longer dimming our light, but truly radiating it as the master sage that we know we are. So
Yeah.
beautiful, Christel. What an amazing opportunity for everyone. We're so excited for this. I get chills when I think about the level of mastery of light that can be achieved with something like this. So if you are watching and you have not already scrolled down on this webpage, or if you're watching on YouTube, click in the description box. You'll find a link to this program that Christel described. And we truly, truly hope you are ready to rebirth into divine sovereignty. Feel that word. To me, that feels like liberation. Liberation from the matrix, from the worry. It is that true connection. It is embodiment of that soul light. And let those soul netting, that protective soul netting, dissipate and disintegrate even more. I think we're all ready. I think every one of us can raise our hands and say we are ready. Yes. Thank you for that, Christel.
Yeah.
Wow. What an incredible opportunity again. So it's all there for everyone. And I want to mention, for those who need a little assistance, we want to make this easy. There is a 2-payment plan available. So check it out and work with Christel and the beautiful Archangel Raziel and the Shurdashan, what is it? The Shardashan
Sudarshan,
Su
Sudarshan chakra. It's
Sudarshan.
magnificent. It's magnificent. This is a brilliant being. This is
Mm,
something that's so unique. And as I've been playing with this being coming in, it's so gracious, but it's a gift. It really is a gift. So I think all the work I've done with Metatron's Cube really has now brought me to this place where now these other beings that until now I haven't known, but playing in this realm, playing in these higher dimensions. Everyone, this is where we want to be. We want to live here. And again, it's not a judgment against where we've come from or what's happening. We want to be literally growing in this way and in this way, expansiveness, where no matter what happens, we're holding consistently to that light of truth and we're readjusting in seconds, like literally readjusting to the center of ourselves, maintaining that truth, no matter what happens, no matter those little triggers, because now we're dissolving those triggers to a place where the radiant rings of light are going to take that energy that comes towards us. We're
mm,
not going to allow other nettings to come. The radiant rings The brilliance of the light, that brilliance is what serves us.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. We are all ready. We are ready. So everyone, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for receiving this beautiful opportunity. It is really important at this time, and it's highly supportive. And as you've seen, Christel is a beautiful facilitator of this. She's simply returning us to our master sage. She's got an impeccable vision for this on a multidimensional level, and she's offering her expertise to us to make us shine. And for that, it already feels like we have a halo of light already upon us.
Yes.
We do. Christel, thank you for this. I want to give you a moment for final thoughts and words of encouragement at this time.
Yes. Be inspired by your own true nature. Really tap into your own light every day. Really start to see the brilliance, the beauty, the goodness, the prosperity that comes just from your smile and the beam of your light through your eyes. You're a glorious being. I absolutely adore you. I love you. Anything that I can do to serve, thank you, thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you, Loren, for allowing me to be here to share this. And I will continue to do that as much as possible. Yes, thank you.
Incredible work you're doing, Christel Hughes. Thank you so much. And again, everyone, thank you too. Your light and love is so important. It matters so much on our planet, and we're doing it. Thank you for watching. And Christel, thank you for this high frequency conversation.
Oh, thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.